Good morning, everyone. It is Saturday, June 7th of 2025. It is 9:15 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. So if you're watching this right now, I can tell you that we are live and in action. So happy Saturday. My name is Param. I am your weekly host of this healing, transformation, and recovery talk that we have evolved into. It is an interactive talk, so if you're watching this, you're more than welcome to pop on and say what's up at any given time, like my friend Jim just did right here, and I can see him on the screen too. That's nice. So it's literally for anybody who firsthand or secondhand has ever experienced any type of pain as a result of addictions, mental illness, trauma, or grief and loss. Our topics vary from different things between learning about communication and coping skills and codependency and trauma and addictions and and a little bit of everything in between. And I try to kind of keep the conversation light but informative at the same time. And I do my best to add a little bit of value to your Saturday. So today's talk was inspired by a couple things too, by the way, real quick. So I do have a master's degree in marriage and family therapy. I am a licensed alcohol and drug counselor. I have personally been in the recovery world since June 13th of 2008. Ooh, it's coming up. Big day coming up. And outside of that, I teach community college classes. I coach high school basketball. I do some performance coaching and some mindset coaching for certain people. And all that being said, I am grateful to be here with you Saturday morning and spend the next 30 minutes or so with you. And today's talk is inspired by a time of year that we are in. So the time of year that I'm talking about here is June. So something happens in June, and I don't know, I know it's not all areas, but at least us that were closer to the ocean, we have something happen here that is notorious and known for June gloom. And June gloom pretty much is like this marine layer of the ocean coming in and causing this kind of an overcasty sky. And this morning I caught myself, Saturdays I'm an active guy, even though I have some back pain right now. But Saturday I'm an active guy and I like to go out and enjoy the weather and this and that. And I just looked out and I was like, man, it just looks so gloomy out there, right? I wish the sun was out instead. And in that moment I caught myself. I said, wait a second, why do I have a problem with the way it looks right now? And why do I want it to be a different way than it is? Because it is what it is, right? The more you resist what is, the more frustration can get created inside. So, all that being said, I decided to make a talk on the topic of June gloom and how it relates to recovery, transformation, and everything. Oh, cousin Rooksan, what's up? How are you, my friend? My cousin just had I'm complaining about my back injury that I have right now. My poor cousin just went through back surgery. I hope you're doing okay. I followed you from a distance from my parents. I got news that you were out of the hospital, obviously. I mean, out of the surgery since you're here right now. I hope you're doing okay, though. Stay strong. It's going to get better. So the June gloom stuff we want to talk about here is I got, 10 or 12 different things I'm going to share with you. I'll put them on the screen as we go through. So the talk is titled Lessons from June Gloom. And without any further ado, here we go. So number one, it says that it's normal for things to feel off sometimes. I think that's a part of our society that we think that we're always supposed to feel good. We're always supposed to, have no stress, or we're supposed to not feel negative emotions, or we're not supposed to feel sadness or loneliness or anger. Who says that? Where did that all come from? It's okay to feel it's okay for things to feel off sometimes. It's life. Life is off sometimes. It's okay to feel at a dis-ease sometime. There's nothing wrong with that. Because if we have an expectation or anticipation that things are always going to be good, they're supposed to be good, then what are you going to do when things aren't good? If you're supposed to be happy all the time, what are you going to do when you feel sad? So June gloom just reminds us that it's okay to feel off sometimes, when I'm doing that, by the way, I'm looking outside of the June gloom, just so you guys know. I'm not distracted. I'm looking at the June gloom for some inspiration since it's related to the talk. But Yeah, it's number 2. I like this one a lot. This one says, "Gray skies don't mean the sun is gone." Ain't that the truth? You know, if you've ever been sunburned, like really sunburned in skies that are completely overcast, you kind of know firsthand that doesn't mean the sun is gone. Yeah, and this is Jim. Jim, I wonder how your first full week of retirement here. I wonder how that went for you. I'm really curious to know. You know what I have to do, Jim? I have to put you on the screen one of these times. Do a little video share we did. I don't know if you're open to that, but I'll send you the invite sometime, whenever you want that to be, and maybe you can talk to us a little bit about this. You can talk about this topic or any topic you want, and let me know how kind of the first week of retirement went. I know for some people. What's up, John? I know for some people it was sad not having you in the office. And, some people, I'll put myself in there too. Sarah was also sad, and I know the other staff too, come up there and Jim's not there, but the way this thing works, man, we just keep moving forward one day at a time. And I'm glad that it was good and busy. So the next one that we have here, it says, "Gray skies don't mean the sun is gone." And we know this for a fact, if you've ever been sunburned, but also, the sun is out there. So if you're experiencing some gray skies in your life, if you have a overcast in your world happening right now, I want you to know that beyond that gloom, there is the sun that will shine. I promise you that when the gloom goes away, the sun will shine again. And some of you might say, "It's been gloomy for too many years. When is my sun going to come out?" I don't know, but it's going to come out. And how do I know that? And how do I say it with so much certainty? Well, as a licensed clinician and a therapist who people come to me in the gloomiest moments of their lives, the sun always comes out. It just always does. And sometimes we just have to be patient and wait. Maybe like a little sliver of sun comes out and gives you a little bit of hope. Then it gets covered again. And you're like, but eventually it will come out. So that's really important to remember that. What else did we learn from June Gloom? We learned, don't let the fog fool you. Your mind might feel heavy or cloudy, but that doesn't mean you're off track. So right now we look at the June Gloom and you might say, well, where's the summer? Don't let the overcast fool you. The summer is here. In about a few hours here, the sun will be out. And by July, you're going to wish that it was a little overcast. It's going to be so damn hot. August comes around, you're like, where's the fall? I can't handle the heat anymore. Don't let this overcast fool you. It's still summer. Don't let the fog in your life fool you. Just don't let it do it. The fog in your life is not a representation of what's about to happen and who you are as a person. So you might feel a little heavy right now because of finances, because of stress, because of life, because of health. You might feel a little cloudy, foggy in the head. Doesn't mean you're off track. What if I told you you're right where you're supposed to be in this moment right now? And you might say, no, there's somewhere else I need to be. Well, you know what? Wherever that is, without getting to where you are right now, you couldn't get there anyways. That's the way life works. Because if you were supposed to be there right now, then guess what? You would have already been there. Now, there's something I learned, and this is completely off tangent when it comes to sports. So there's something that a losing team often does. And the losing team says, man, we should have beat them. Or let's say I lost a pickleball match. I should have beat them. You know what the truth is? If you should have beat them, you would have beat them. If I should have beat somebody, I would have beat them. Now, what does that mean in our context here? Well, I'm telling you that you're right where you should be right now. And you say, no, I'm not. I should be somewhere else. Well, if you should have been there, you would have been there already. But I will tell you this, if that's where you want to be and that's where you want to go, you need to get here first before you can get there. This moment is the catapult, is the catalyst to the next moment in life of getting to where you want to go to. This moment right now gets you to there, as long as you accept this moment right now. The more you resist this moment right now, it doesn't take you where you want it to go. It takes you back somewhere else. And when you're there, guess what you're going to say? I should be there. See how that works? This is where you should be right now. Right here, right now. Fog and all. Cloudy and all. You just got to trust this damn process. The next one that I have here is seasons don't change overnight. Progress is gradual. Healing takes time. You know, put a seed of an apple into the dirt and let me know when you eat that apple. I promise you ain't going to eat it overnight. You're not even going to eat it a week later, a month later. But people put themselves in this healing, recovery, transformation space. They plant themselves and they want the fruit of their labor instantly. Isn't that funny? We look at nature and it shows us with great detail and in depth that when something gets planted, it takes time for it to manifest and come to fruition. But when it comes to our change, we want it right now. I mean, come on. How different are you and I than an apple? Well, you might think you are, but you're not. Let's see what my friend Terry said. I feel like I'm right where I need to be clean for a little over 6 months. Was active addiction for 40 years, and these 6 months have been the best. You know, first and foremost, I mean, I say this to you every time we talk, but I'm happy you're with us, literally and figuratively, because 40 years of active addiction, you probably should have been somewhere else many, many times, and that somewhere else, unfortunately, ends up being 6 feet under. So congratulations on being 6 months clean. Not many people who have 40 years of active addiction get 6 months clean. So you are an inspiration to a group of people that potentially sometimes are hopeless. You prove that there is hope. And lastly, I'm glad that it's been the best. These 6 months have been the best. You know, it's everything's in perspective, right? I'm not going to say all those 40 years you had were bad, but most of us won't change our worst day in sobriety for our best day in addiction. You know, most of us. So yeah, thank you for sharing that and adding that little nugget to this group. The next one. You can still bloom in the gloom. How about that? There are flowers right now that are blooming in the June gloom. See, the gloom doesn't mean that everything's dead. It's still going through, man. Growth often happens in uncomfortable, quiet, and cloudy spaces. How about that combination? Growth, your growth, can and will happen in uncomfortable, cloudy, quiet places. How cool is that? You know, I'm a big believer. The only time you're ever going to grow in life is when you get uncomfortable. So if you're sitting in your comfort zone wondering why your life isn't changing, well, if you had everything you wanted in life in your comfort zone, you would have already had it. Everything you want that you don't have in life is outside your comfort zone. Are you willing to reach? Are you willing to stretch? Stretch your mind, stretch your emotions, stretch your body to places that are uncomfortable, to the point of discomfort. That's where your growth is going to happen. I promise you this. This is not just some generic, corny thing that gets floated on the internet that says everything you want is outside your comfort zone. It's the truth. It really is. You know, if everything in life came easy, then everyone would have everything they want. But how come nobody really has what they want? Why is that the case? Because nobody's willing to truly get uncomfortable. There's something that only probably Jim, out of all the people in the world, probably knows on this one. So end of 2013, started working for Orange County Recovery Services. Started from the bottom, worked my way up, and eventually had this nice little office, a corner office upstairs, big office. I was a primary counselor, and I graduated from school, and I became a therapist. And I was going above and beyond for the company at the time. I mean, I was running the day groups, the night groups. I was doing all these individuals. I was doing all this crazy stuff. And on the back of my door of the office, that the reason I say Jim would know is because it was in Jim took over that office. I wrote, "Do today what others won't, so you can do tomorrow what others can't." Every day I would look at that, and it was in my own handwriting, and I would say, "Do today what others won't." So what would other people not do? they wouldn't go the extra mile. They wouldn't take on the extra task. They wouldn't sacrifice their free time for a little bit of learning and growing and evolving. They wouldn't sacrifice their nutrition, like, they wouldn't eat healthy to give up a little bit of the eases of life and all that kind of stuff, So when I was willing to sacrifice all of that in the future of my life, I was able to do things that other people that weren't willing to do that couldn't do. I was able to go to another level when other people were on a previous level. And I'm not saying this in a way it's like, oh, look at me. I'm saying that this is available and accessible for everybody, and and Jim said, exactly, and love that. It's still there. See, and for Jim, for example, do today what others won't, do tomorrow what others can't, is kind of very similar to my friend Terry up there. Jim was in active addiction for a long time. I mean, he's been clean for over 20 years, but he was in active addiction for a long time, and people in his world didn't get clean and sober. They also went 6 feet under. And right now, he started doing things that other people wouldn't do. And today, he's able to, a few months from now, drive himself down to a part of Nevada, go over there, get a brand new home, and enjoy the coolest years of his life doing that. See, people get these things in life, and it's not just by accident. They make a sacrifice. They get uncomfortable. They do things that they otherwise wouldn't do. And it's just really cool to see that message actually works. And I'm glad it's still there, Jim. Sue, good morning. Hope you're doing well. The next one that we have here is don't let 1 month define the whole year. Setbacks are seasons, not definitions. So can you imagine if 1 month of June Gloom, everyone just says, oh, the whole year is going to be cloudy and the whole year is going to suck, and what's the point of this year and all that kind of stuff? Can you believe that? It is, it's not how we need to be wired. We need to look at everything for what it is. I think that's turning into the theme of this conversation, is like, some things are the way they are. And the same way you wouldn't allow this 1 month of gloomy weather dictate the entire thought process you have towards the year, do not allow 1 month of a gloomy month of your life, a gloomy year of your life, define your entire year, your entire lifetime. We all go through the gloom. Some of you are going through some dark days right now, some dark nights. I know it. I know it without knowing it. How do I know that? Because you're a human being, and none of us are immune to going through the darkness. Not me, not you, not your mom, not your dad, not your kids, not your spouses, not your friends, not your coworkers, not your neighbors. Everyone is going through some type of darkness at all times. But that darkness doesn't define people, because when you get through that darkness is when a whole new version of life can unfold. And if anything, the lessons we learn in the darkness, the lessons we learned in the gloom, are the reasons why we can enjoy and appreciate the next things in life. So, actually, let me see if I can pull up this time. I'm going to completely sidetrack real quick. Give me 1 second. YouTube.com. Hold on 1 second. I'm trying to find something really good right now for you guys to show. Cleveland Hospital video. Okay. So I'm going to show something to you guys right now. You know how I told you that everyone's going through something in life? There is a video here that completely defines it in a beautiful way. So I'm going to go in presenter mode. I'm going to share my screen. Share it. Okay. Can someone tell me if they see this full screen? Oh, full screen layout. Okay. Hey, Jim, when I play this, can you let me know if you see this full screen? I think I got it now. I showed that to my students not long ago, and they were like, "Let me get out of this share screen thing." Okay. And let me go full screen. Okay, I'm back. I showed that to to my students not long ago, and they're like, "Man, you got to give us a heads up before you show that. That was way too emotional." But the reason I showed it to you guys right now is because if you read those thought bubbles in that Cleveland hospital, everybody was going through a very different experience. Some were negative, some were fearful, some were positive, some were devastating, some were heartbreaking, some were celebratory. And that's what I'm saying. That's life, and so is some of you right now are going through a gloom of your life, and some of you are going through a celebration. I don't know which one's which, but regardless, the tables will be turned one day. And we just have to remember not to identify or over-identify with either one. If that makes sense. The next one I have here for you, my friends, is learn to be with yourself in the gloom. There is nothing wrong. It says real transformation includes learning to sit with discomfort. Stop trying to run from your discomfort. Stop trying to distract yourself from your discomfort. Stop trying to numb yourself of your discomfort. Sometimes you just got to sit with it. And sometimes you just got to feel the emotions. I know that's what I had to do when I was going through some grief and loss not too long ago. Eventually, there's only so busy you can be for so long, and eventually it catches up to you. So you just have to sit with it and let the wave of emotions come to and through me and let them kind of reduce their charge. And eventually on the other side of it, there's a little bit of peace and a little bit of freedom. But some of you potentially are running and avoiding the discomfort. You're numbing it out with food. You're numbing it out with shopping. You're numbing it out with busy work. You're numbing it out with fake social obligations just to stay busy and not be with yourself. Really important is to be able to just sit with it. And yes, I actually like this. Jim said the secret of going through hell is just don't slow down. It's just kind of literally putting one foot in front of the other. And sometimes I think you can go slow through it. The more important part is to not stop moving, right? Is to not stop and freeze by the fear, or not like stop and regress, go backwards. Sometimes even the smallest steps forward, in the hell or the chaos allows us to finally get out of it. So the key is to, if you are going to slow down, the key is to just not stop moving, right? And don't change directions either. You just keep walking in the same direction you were going in. The next one that we have here, just a few more to go. Clouds make the light hit differently. I like that one. Hard seasons can bring out a softer, deeper version of yourself. Kind of like we already talked about, the dark nights become our brightest assets. There are lessons we learn in the dark. There's lessons we learned in the fog that when they translate into life after the dark or the fog, they create a sense of deepness in us, a sense of more insight, more empathy, more understanding, more knowledge, more humility, more experience. So if you are in the gloom right now, embrace it. Just embrace it. Accept it, embrace it, and say, what can I learn from it? How is this being my teacher in this moment, right? This one's really important. You don't have to feel good to do good. If people waited around so they can feel better, to do better, then, oh my goodness, they've been waiting around forever. There's a lot of times I don't feel like doing the things I do. A lot of times. But guess what? I do them anyways. And as a byproduct of doing them, then in the midst of somehow I start to feel good. It's they say you can't think your way into right acting, but you can act your way into right thinking. Not in all situations, but 90% of the time. Because when you take your body, the mind will follow. Like if I'm like, oh, I don't want to go on a walk right now, so I don't go on a walk. But if I say, I don't want to go on a walk right now, but I'm going to go on a walk, somewhere in the middle of the walk, I'm going to say, I'm glad I went on a walk right now. It happens every single time. Everything is that way, my friends. Take the actions. Let the mind follow. The last one that I have here is nature doesn't rush and neither should you. Healing. Let's put that one up. There's a few more here. I just didn't get into them because I shared that video. But nature doesn't rush and neither should you. Healing isn't a race. You're unfolding at the right pace. And I just did this talk for our program participants this morning. And I told them one of the dangers of healing and recovery is comparing yourself to the people around you. Why is that person advancing more than I am? Why does that person feel better than I do? Why is that person laughing more? Why is that person so much at peace? Why is that person in a relationship? Why is that person able to get out of the relationship? Why is that person's family so supportive? Why does my family not support me? You're going to kill yourself comparing yourself. Because if there's 8 billion people on this planet we call Earth, there's 8 billion different versions of life. You could be the same culture, the same background, the same ethnicity as somebody, and I promise you lived completely different worlds. Because your upbringing individualizes all this. Your unique experiences individualizes all this. So guess what? The only comparison that we can afford to do in our life is comparing ourselves today with our past version of ourselves. Compare myself today to my yesterday. Compare myself today to my last week, my last month, last year. And the goal is to see some progress. Because if I see some progress in my comparison to myself from my past versions, the future version of me will be different. But if there's no difference between my past self and my present self, the future will be the exact same. And even worse, if I've gotten worse than I was in my past, the future is going to be worse. So today you're creating who the heck you want to be tomorrow. And the only way you can know and gauge that is by comparing yourself to yourself yesterday. So with that being said, if any of you ever want that, yeah, that's good too. Don't compare your insides to other people's outsides. When I talk with kids and talk about social media, I always tell them, it's like, don't compare how you feel inside with somebody else's social media feed, because that's not how they feel. It's just what they're showing. I'm a therapist. I sit with those people. And when they come to the session, they don't talk about their feed. They talk about everything underneath that feed, which is usually not good. So, yeah. And by the way, if any of you are interested in that video I showed, if you go to YouTube and put Cleveland Clinic empathy video, you should be able to see it. Great video to kind of just remind us that all of us are going through something. So be kind to each other, be kind to yourself. And yeah, we'll see what happens. I'll see you back here next week. Same time, same place. Bye, everyone. Adios.